Yay. Okay, awesome. All right. Welcome everyone to the Fit Life podcast, wherein faithful influencers talk about their lives and share in their testimonies. I'm Maui Santos, and on behalf of Heart of Fire podcast, we get to welcome a beautiful, light individual. She is a mom, and she is also a dear friend of mine, and we get to unpack her journey, of which where I got to meet her through the TV film industry. And apart from that, she has transformed her life into ways where I can't wait to unveil for you. So stay tuned. All right, welcome, Stacy. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Yes. I'm doing well. It's been truly an enjoyment to be able to have you here. Where to begin with your story? I am incredibly still moved how we managed to cross paths when we did. And to to be frank, 2017. Do you recall exactly the time and place when we first met?
I'm guessing it might is either on Chicago PD or yeah,
Yeah,
Chicago
I'm
PD,
going on
right?
that same wavelength too. We've done so much background work wherein I lost track.
It was one of those. It was PD, Chicago Justice. We've done them all.
Yeah,
Empire.
no, literally. And as far as that journey was, I never knew what kind of people I would meet. And having to have met you on set and seeing you in action, because you were more well versed, and to me I felt like such a sprite coming onto set. And I was you know, knowing where you stand, what would you say was what brought you onto the set?
Well, my best friend at the time had told me that they had extras for Chicago Med, and she said if you have like a medical background, it was pretty easy to do. So
Hmm.
I was like, oh, okay. So I just decided to go and got to be an extra on Chicago Med. And then that led to fire and PD and all the other things. So it wasn't something that I was actually searching for, to be honest. It was just something that was presented, and I was like, okay, well, let's just give it a try. And little did I know where I was going to be led. But that's up to God. He leads our
Yeah,
steps. So,
definitely. Well, you showed up, so clearly, that was one step in that direction. I know that you obviously had met other people in the process, but what beyond, your friend bringing onto it, before you got to that level in your life, what was your life prior to being on the TV film sets?
um, so I've done many, many things in my life. I've worked at a bank. I've worked in daycare. I've worked in the medical field. Just I tried out to be a lovable. Just tried out, did many different things in my life. But I think what led me to that was I was working in the medical field, and then I had had my fourth child, and it just got to the point where it was hard.
Mhm.
And I was also doing like an at-home business at the time. So I was just trying to wear many, many hats. So when I left the medical field, she said, well, come on to Chicago Med. And that's what I did. So I just started there, and it just led me now to where I am presently.
Mhm. And just to let the audience in on it, what is it that you're focused on currently?
So I work in children's ministry at a church. Um, and I get to teach the love of Jesus to elementary kids, first through fifth grade,
Hmm.
and kind of pastor the children, their parents. I've done groups within the church. So, Rooted was something that was life changing for me. So that's something that I still hold very dear to my heart. And I do have rooted groups still that I keep in touch with and we meet with, because I think community and groups is so important. So just many different levels of ministry within the church.
I love that. That's incredible. And like, I know your own personal faith walk, you didn't envision that you would be on this path. What were there like steps, or would you say were there moments in your life that had led you to be in this ministry that you're in currently?
Looking back, yes, I think God always placed it in my heart to be a helper to others and to want to care for and nurture, which is, I think, why I went into the medical field, thinking, okay, well, I can help people in this way. Um, Now seeing the grand scheme of things, I think he had just a different plan, but I had to walk the path that I did. I also teach fitness. So I teach group fitness exercises through dance. Um, so that was just another way, too, that I was trying to help and encourage others. And then ministry came into my lap. So I made the leap of faith. And when God called, I said yes. And I left the entertainment industry and transitioned over about a year and a half ago, I would say.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I love that for you. I don't know spiritually, like people talk about having encounters like with the Lord and having, visions or, messages. Um, can you elaborate if you've had any of that kind of moment in your life?
Yeah, I did.
Hmm.
I would say it was back in 2017 where I was just in a very dark place in my life and I was lost. I was in a relationship that was not fulfilling to me or to God for that matter. I had fallen a lot into addiction, alcohol, and drugs, even. And I was desperate. I literally got down on my knees and was just begging, for a change, for me to find out who I was again because I was lost.
Hmm.
And the same friend who led me to Chicago Med had told me about a group in church called Rooted. So I decided for Christmas that year that I was going to give myself that gift. And I signed up for a group. And that was the place where my life started to change, was through that group. And it was very eye-opening for me. I had to completely humble myself and I had to face many, many things about myself that I probably didn't want to face.
Hmm.
But had I not, I never would have grown.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. Like, thank you for sharing. It's amazing, like the way God can speak to each and every one of us. And I know that it always looks different, for most. I know that like every day is a daily practice in order to, rekindle that relationship with God. How do you go about on a daily to rekindling that relationship with the Lord?
Um, I wake up very early in the morning. I would say my day starts usually around between 4 and 5 a.m. And I go immediately into my devotions and I'm opening up my Bible, a physical Bible. But it's a life Bible. It's a teaching Bible. So there's a lot of subcontext that really helps me to understand what I'm reading,
Hmm.
because I did not grow up with religion in my life. I didn't have training. So I'm very much self-taught. And then of course, like the people at church are always offering guidance and wisdom to me when I have questions.
Hmm.
But going to the Bible to find the truth in the way he wants my life and the way that he's calling me to live. That's how I start my day every day. Yeah.
I
And
love
just try
that.
to lot
Um,
of worship. Music is what I hear a lot. So I spend a lot of time throughout the day in worship. Yeah, just listening to all kinds of music, whether it's Forrest Frank or,
yeah, right.
whatever it may be.
Encouraging spirit right there for sure. Yeah, no, I definitely love Forrest Frank's music. Yeah, he's an incredible artist. Um, yeah, honestly, that's like a huge shift that I've noticed that had come into my life that I'm like, I don't render myself as an early morning person. And, you know, it's really like being in posture with the Lord of like sitting down, just being able to crack open a Bible, whether it's on my phone or in an actual Bible, which I do, like empower others to be able to open a tangible Bible. But yeah, no, that's a incredible daily practice that I think every believer should allow themselves to do. Apart from Forrest Frank, do you have any other worship artists that you kind of like
Oh yeah.
find yourself like diving
Yeah.
into?
Um, I love Ann Wilson. I love Brandon Lake. Just all of it. It's like every time I hear a song, I can relate somehow, or it applies to my life somehow. Uh,
Hmm.
Emerson Day, like there's always new Christian artists coming out. So I just, whether I turn on my Apple or my Spotify, and I just select a song and then I just let it go, and it just one after another. It's just like I throw my hands up in worship because it relates to me somehow, or I can resonate with it, to their story, to their testimony.
Absolutely. Yeah. I definitely resonate with that. And it's like an easy way for me to honor and revere the Lord as well, to be able to like turn on a song and like lift up my worship and praise. And even, um, even when there is no music in the background, I'm like humming some kind of like worship song. So, um, you know, I wanted to explore with you a little bit about, what encouragement that you can expound to others about like letting go of, things that don't serve you. Because I know that when it comes to stepping into more of a faith walk, some say it's easier said than done. But as you're
Mhm.
doing it, what has been your, modalities to learning to let go?
Well, I'm still working on
Right.
that.
We're all works in progress.
I'm still working on that. I think, just honestly speaking, I needed to learn to forgive myself and to look at myself through the eyes of the Lord, and to know that I was created in His image, and that if He can love me as much as He loves me, to know everything about me, to know my heart, to know every single hair on my head, that I needed to learn to love myself as He loves me. And that's something that's hard for someone who is their biggest critic. I had to learn that I couldn't strive to be perfect, because there's only one perfect person in this world, and that's Jesus. But what I can do each and every day is I can look to Him as my example and try to live more and more like Him each and every day. And
Hmm.
I have to accept my failures for the failures that they are, and to just know that I can't do it on my own,
Hmm.
that I need Him in my life every day to guide me, and just the acceptance of His Holy Spirit. And I ask the Spirit to just guide me each and every day, wherever it may take me.
I love that. No, thank you for sharing. It's just an incredible feat to be able to be reminded that yes, you are a child of God and you belong to Him, and knowing whose you belong to has definitely been quite helpful on my journey as well. As far as being able to, pass out on the like word of God, you have this beautiful gift of children in your life. And, you know, as a mother, how have you been able to cultivate that into your children's lives so that it's more digestible for them?
Well, I have two sets of children, really.
Right
So I
on.
have older children who experienced me living the way that I used to.
Hmm.
Uh, before, I learned who I was in God's image. So I do face that dynamic of, them not always seeing me and understanding the changes that God can make. But I believe in just living by example and just by them being able to see. And then I have my younger children who, they're being brought up in a different way with more religion and more faith in their life, more so than my older two. Um, but at the same time, I'm still trying to share the same love of Jesus with all of them. I think that they just receive it in different ways because they've seen me in different ways.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, that's like it almost levels into, were there parts that you experienced like that imposter syndrome because you're trying to remove yourself from your old life and like delve into a new life, and share it with them, like was that difficult for you to kind of transition into in front of your children, or would you say, it differently?
Um, I think I think that in the beginning, I think that I was a little prideful about it. I would have to say, that I was like, okay, well, don't you see the changes that are being made? But then I soon came to realize that that's not really in my control. I had to kind of let that go and
Hmm.
just know that what I'm doing now is the way that I'm being led. And whatever I'm doing, whatever seeds are being planted, that's not for me. That's for God to do the work on his timing with them.
Hmm.
So I kind of had to release that want to change and want them to see, because they'll see on their own, what they want to see. And I can't control that. I can't hold that or wear that burden
Hmm.
of wanting that, but I can just live each day the way that I'm called to live. And, God will do the rest. He's our watering can.
Absolutely. No, it's so true. And I love that. I love that for you and that you're able to, kind of take a step back and reflect on, God's grace and mercy and be able to see it through that, like his perfect timing is, what is set out for your children and for what you get to witness. And as
Mhm.
we get to bear witness, there's like so many miracles outside of you being able to have children, which in and of itself is a miracle. Are there any personal moments or experiences that you would kind of reflect back on and be like, man, like what a miracle God has been in my life, like showing up?
Yeah, there's a lot of miracles. And I'm just so blessed to like have the eyes to see the way that he's worked. And so many times through the trials and struggles that we go through in our lives, we don't necessarily see him working at that time, but we get to a point where we can look back and we can say, "Oh, I've seen God present in every situation."
Mm-hmm.
Um, Even back to when I was a child, I see God's hands on me. And as many times as I ran away, his hands were always there and guiding me back to where I am today. Um, but yeah, he's blessed me with many, many, many miracles with my children and the struggles that they've gone through. Um, some of them were pretty dark places, and they were scary. And through just God's grace alone, I think he's saved many of my children, to be honest. I would say my oldest for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was times with him that were a struggle where I had already gone through the process of beginning to change, But, you know, at the same time as knowing what my faith was, I could preach that faith into him and I can pray. But that's also, I had to realize that was a walk for himself to go through as well.
Mm-hmm.
And to be completely honest, there was a time of where a child was wanting to just end their life.
Mm.
And that was hard for me. That was really hard because, of course, you know, I don't want my child to ever have to want to feel that way. But I think through God's grace, and he was able to help save his life.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
incredible. Like, that's such a vulnerable moment to like, bear witness, and for you to be that support for your child is like such a gift, on both ends. And I'm grateful that you're able to, see it through, as any, mother would not, like you said, want to bear witness to that. But I'm grateful that you were able to be that light for your child's life. So thank you. Thank you for just showing up for your child. I know that for being in this children's ministry that you speak of, can you talk a little bit more about how you get to, share in the word with these children and be that light for them?
Yeah. I mean, just being able to go and just teach them how much God loves them, you know, and how he had a plan for us all along, you know, from the very beginning. Like right now, we're going through the entire Bible with the kids and just being able to show them that God had made a promise to us and that in each and every story, he never fails the people who are faithful. He never fails to keep his promises in his life. And just teaching the children that they're loved for just who they are
Mhm.
is so important because we are all different and we all have different gifts. We all have different talents. But those are gifts and talents that were given to us by God.
Mhm.
And just being able to teach them about that and how they can share that love with those around them is just very important. I didn't grow up with much religion in my life.
Mhm.
I grew up Catholic, but for me, you know, going to church with my parents, it was we would go on Saturday nights, and I didn't understand anything that was being said to me. I knew when to stand up, I knew when to kneel down, I knew when to sit down. But the extent of what I was learning, you know, it wasn't something that I could absorb at the time.
Mhm.
So I think the way that we just teach in a way of just sharing God's love in a fun environment
Mhm.
where, you know, we do small groups, we have large group in teaching, we teach the kids how to worship, and just different levels of wherever anybody is at. We make it pretty simple for them to understand that it all comes back to God's love for them.
Amen. That's so cool. I love that for you, and that you get to be able to see, God through their eyes, and like see what they get to unpack and share. So that's like incredible. I
It's
mean,
really it's a blessing for me to be able to see them. I still get emotional, you know, when I see the kids worshiping. I
hmm,
think that's my favorite part of it is just seeing them get together, seeing their little hands go up in the air. You know, we were doing the song Firm Foundation,
mhm,
um, and to hear them sing the words and have their hands up in the air, and some of them just hold on to each other and
mhm,
they gather like that is God's beauty right there.
yeah,
And like I said, I think it's sometimes more of a blessing to me and so opening to my eyes to be able to see these beautiful children just singing and praying God, praising God for things that they don't even know yet.
Right.
I know they can feel it in their heart because he's always there with them.
Mm-hmm.
But when they shout, that they know that God won't fail them during that song, like that, just it's so beautiful.
That's incredible. Well, I know that, kind of reflecting on like so much of your life, would you say that there is any particular moments that, most people wouldn't know about you that, you feel called to share to, the audience that, God could use a person like you?
I mean, there's been so many things that I've gone through in life that I just didn't ever quite understand.
Mhm.
Um, I think I never I wouldn't say that I ever questioned God being
Mhm.
present in my life. I think I might have been a little naive to it at the time, but I can remember, I think back when I was 14, I think
Mhm.
that was the first time that I experienced death,
Mhm.
uh, at a very, very close range. I was involved in a car accident where a car just veered off this road while we were practicing for soccer.
Mhm.
And the car came up onto the soccer field and it killed my friend. And I watched it kind of happen. And I saw, her get hit by the car, and it all happened in slow motion. And I think that was that traumatic moment in my life. I think that kind of set me into a downward spiral. And I think that's where I started making choices in my life that were not following God at the time. And I feel like I ran more from God than running to Him.
Mhm.
Um, so I think that was really a hard part in my life where I lost the understanding, um, of who God was.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's like a very powerful moment. And it, just hearing your testimony on that is just goes to show that, you know, we're not necessarily promised tomorrow, and we never know when our time is up. And given that, it's like, do we have to wait till something tragic happens before we take action about what we can do with the gifts and talents that God has given unto us? And it's like, it's something so simple as, starting in the comforts of one's own home, whether that
Yeah.
home is a collective of like people who are of your bloodline or not. It's like you can start wherever you are at. And,
Yeah.
the fact that you got to be able to witness that at an early age and then be able to kind of, start eventually pivoting your life so that you could be where you're at, it goes to show it's like everybody's journey and timing is different. And so there's no necessary need for any comparison other than the person that you were before. And whoever you are becoming is a beautiful part that I get to, witness in your journey. So that's incredible. And I thank you for just, following him and being able to just surrender your life to him.
Well, I didn't always. See, that was the problem.
No,
That
and
was
it's
the problem.
absolutely true. Yeah, like and it's just like every day you never know what you're going to encounter until like you encounter. And with that said, it's like, what is some lasting remarks that you would want to share with the audience on behalf of your entire, testimony to just be a level of encouragement?
Well, I think, from that point when that happened, I was just feeling very empty. I was very lost, not understanding. And I was trying to search for my heart and my understanding to be filled in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that the things of the world would bring me that happiness to fill that void. And I searched for a very, very long time. I wasn't, it was, I was in my 40s before I realized, well, yeah, I'm still there. But, I realized that it's not the things of the world that are going to fill me. I
Mm-hmm.
can search and search, and I have searched and searched. But the thing that fills me is God. Like, my heart has to be with Him first.
Mm-hmm.
My identity needs to be found in Him first for me to find myself and to be able to help myself, to forgive myself in order to help those around me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always, always looking to God first and foremost in anything in my life. And then comes everything else. So anything of the world, whether it be money or relationships or even my children who I love dearly, nothing can be placed above God.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just really figuring out that order
Yeah.
uh, before I could actually find out who I was. And
Amen.
that's, I think, what I would share most with everybody is, what are you seeking?
Mm-hmm.
Where are you seeking it?
Mm-hmm.
Because the truth of it is, we can search to the ends of the world to find what brings us love and joy and peace and happiness. But those are the fruits of the Spirit that can only be found in God.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. That's such a great reminder, and I love that. And yeah, the fruits of the spirit are definitely some great just bullet points to just keep your life going, however that might look like for your life. So
Yeah.
thank you again for sharing. It's just always a pleasure to be able to hear about everything that's going on in your life. You've been just such a light onto my path. It's been like 8 years, and when you talk about, that level of completion, that it only took us 8 years to find ourselves in this kind of level of talk and see how far we've come along. Yeah, it's incredible.
It is. It is. And I can say the same about you. I've seen where we were to the person that you are now too. And you're just as much of a light. You're
Thank
shining, and look at what you're doing with your platform to reach others. I mean,
you.
that's a true testament right there. The way that you're helping and guiding others in the love of Jesus.
That's so incredible. Now you're trying to make me cry with my no makeup face on.
No, that's the truth.
Yeah,
So what you're doing to inspire and encourage others, I'm so grateful for. So thank you for having me be a part of it.
1000%, 1000%. Man, got me all emotional. Uh,
Girl,
but
that's
it's
because I love you.
but if you can get a woman to cry on when it's not even expected, yeah, bless your heart. I know that we tend to have our walks where we kind of live by, verse or maybe verses on a day by day, or maybe even just today, is there a biblical verse that you kind of lean into more so?
Um, well, when I'm talking to people, I think it just really depends on where they are in their life.
Mm-hmm.
But I think one of my favorite verses, my favorite book is Matthew.
Yeah,
So,
Matthew. All right.
um, the one that I always seem to share with others, and especially the children, is probably Matthew chapter 5, verse 14.
Mm-hmm.
So where Jesus says, you're the light of the world, and the city on top of a hill shouldn't be hidden. That no one puts a light underneath the basket, but they put it on a lampstand for everybody in the house and everybody in the world to see. So I just feel like when people are in the light, that they should let their light shine. And God, we are all created to have God's light, as we're all created in God's image, and we all have that light within us. So instead of hiding it just as you're doing with this podcast.
Mhm.
Let your light shine. Let the things that you've gone through and your testimony and your story, let it be, shared, because whatever light you're bringing could be a light for someone else. You never know what you're bringing, because you don't know what that person needs. So don't ever hide the truth that you found. Don't ever hide the love of Jesus from others. Let it shine.
Amen. I receive that. Well, so just to kind of come full circle, how can we continue to follow your journey?
Um, I don't know. I mean, I I'm at Parkview Christian Church here
Mhm.
in Illinois. Um, and that's where I plan to remain for a while until God calls me to wherever else I'm supposed to go.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, I'm on social media where I pretty much just share the verse of the day every day, and just things that are going around in our community and within our church. Um, so yeah, only place I could be found. I don't know.
Good. So
Whenever you have me come on with you, I don't
to be
know.
planted in the church, wherever that community will be.
Yeah, yeah. I just pray that you always find me in God's house.
Trust, trust. I hear that. Thank you so, so much for all your shares today and for being able to, be the vessel to have God utilize you in the spaces and places and even the comforts of your own home and to be able to be the light and share your light unto others. And yeah, words can't begin to describe how I'm grateful to know you and be in friendship with you. So thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
My gratitude to you, seriously, for all that you're doing. And I pray for those who receive, hearing your podcast. I pray that they receive the message that you're sending and see that the encouragement that you're giving. So yeah.
Absolutely. Well, if you all have found this entire episode very encouraging, be sure to like, subscribe, and to tune in for more amazing testimonies here at the Fit Life podcast, where faithful influencers talk life. All right, bye now.
Bye. Love you.
We love you. God bless.